These are ifs, and you can't live on ifs. You have to live with results, and the Aggies were not ready to play in that game. And welcome into TexAgs Rewind, presented by Specs in the Rollo Insurance Studio. I'm David Nuno. Today was a day, look, it wasn't our best energy. I think we were all still kind of beat up from the South Carolina game. That's all right, though. Still a lot to play for Texas A&M football, and on the show we looked back. We reacted to the loss, and we looked ahead. Jackson, your favorite part of the show was?
I liked all of it. Yeah.
All of it?
Every single part. Show. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I liked how we all tried to stay optimistic. It was a tough loss, but
if you had to choose one,
if I had to choose
your favorite child, who would it be?
I'd say OB. I'll go with OB.
OB's your favorite. Yeah. That's an easy one to go with. Yeah. Nick, your favorite part of the rewind or the show, which will be on the rewind?
I'm going to go Tom Hart. Tom Hart.
Okay.
Tom Hart.
Yeah, Tom Hart.
Probably Tom Hart.
Tom Hart. You just said it 4 times. Tommy 2 times.
Tom Hart.
Tom Hart again. Wow. My favorite part is our boss who pays the bills. His name is Billy Liucci. Why? Because he got upset that I asked him one question, and then he got happy that I asked him a question. That's all happens on the rewind. Check it out. These are ifs, and you can't live on ifs. You have to live with results, and the Aggies were not ready to play in that game.
That's what I think. I think they just came in not ready to play mentally. Maybe not understand. I'm sure Elko and the coaching staff tell them, guys, you're going to walk into a hornet's nest. This is going to be their biggest game, and it's going to be a great environment. And I think they heard it, but didn't listen.
I want to defend Marcel Reed. I don't think he is as bad as some people say. He was not good in the second half. The team wasn't good in the second half.
Right.
But I thought Marcel Reed was, he had those 2 turnovers very late. Well, one early in the fourth quarter, one very late. That's not good. You can't go on the road and lose a turnover battle. So, yes, he doesn't get A or even a B because of that. But they were moving the ball.
They were moving the ball. And again,
and without their, and I'm sorry, I'm going to have to bring it up, without their best running back and without Chase Basantis, who affects the running game.
Absolutely. And the fact of the matter is, look, the first interception completely on him. The second one, I don't even care. You know why? Because that game was settled.
Yeah.
When he threw the second one. Yeah, where
the fumble.
Whatever led to the whatever was the turnover. I don't even care about that turnover. Because the game was decided. But yeah, that interception, it was bad play. I would have liked to have seen him try to run. Here's the difference. Sometimes he did, and sometimes he was successful. But when he went to run, the South Carolina defense, it's easier. He's a slight guy as opposed to a big one. But the South Carolina defense attacked him to get him on the ground.
Yep.
The A&M defense approached Sellers, much to the tight ends, as if they were playing flag or touch. Hey, I touched you. Why are you still running?
I just saw the interception there on camera, and oof.
It was bad.
Tom, look, we'll make it about A&M again here in a moment, but I just feel like this year in the SEC, it's so different because this kind of thing does happen, right? Like, you'll get a week where Kentucky looks amazing. You'll get a week where Arkansas looks amazing. South Carolina's been fairly consistent. I mean, they could have beat LSU. They could have beat Bama. But, like, you get these weeks in the SEC that you're like, man, I don't know what I can predict. I look at what Texas has with the rest of their schedule. Backup quarterback it looks like every team they're playing is on their second or third string quarterback. But, like, you just don't know, right? You look at what Alabama and LSU is going to look like. I can't predict things because of and I don't know if it's because of the NIL and the transfer portal or just the lack of depth some teams have. It's very hard to figure out what's going to happen from week to week.
Yes, the parity impacts teams and individuals. And the reason I bring that up is I was just talking to a coach on the field the other night about, the new era of college football and how teams are built and the impact that has. And I just mentioned the A&M tackling, and I think this is an example here. The impact that has when things start going south. Right, you're not next to a guy that you've been grinding with for 4 years, right? It's not the coaching staff can't look down the line and say, let's bring in that senior who's been with us since we recruited him in, ninth grade. No, it's a collection of talent, and every team is nobody is immune to that. So in that regard, when things start getting hard, some teams check out. It's just how it works these days, more often than it used to. And what does that mean? That means, like, if you don't have to be an elite team to win big games. You just have to find some of that momentum, and you could pull big wins off. And I've said this ad nauseum. If you're by talent a middle of the pack team, and you can get wins against like talented teams, then you can really shoot up the standings, right? Especially within a 16-team league.
You got your script, especially after a bye week, your first couple series, settle your quarterback down, do all the things. Well, you go incomplete, and then you should have gone sack, 3rd and 17. Okay? Clear cut, straight shot the quarterback, 3rd and 17. That takes you out of your script there. You're not running script on that play. They're probably punting, 3 and out to start the game. And who knows what A&M does with a little better field position. I know the Aggies punted right away on their first drive, but they did score on their second. And I think, 4 of the next 5 drives. So, yeah, and also your defense would have been on the field 3 to start the game and not 11. And the mental part of giving up a touchdown, giving up several big plays, because that play you missed the sack on should have been about an 8-yard loss. Instead, it was a 20-yard gain. So that's a 30-yard swing in field position right off the rip. So it was a tone setter. I don't think it was like the game-changing play. The other one, I heard y'all talking this morning about Shamar Turner's personal foul. That's the one that bothers me less of some of the fouls I've seen him commit lately. You're getting blocked. You're diving. You're trying to make a play on a quarterback. You got to know to stay up in today's football. But that's a dude hustling to try to make a sack. It wasn't like egregiously late. It was just low. But you're low as you're trying to get through that block, and you've got the guy riding you into it. So I think, he kind of followed you, took the momentum right into the quarterback. So I think that one, it was a big penalty for sure. But the defensive holding on the next play that they called, because you had a sack, forced fumble, a run back for a few yards by Howell. I don't know exactly where he ended up, but you were right on the cusp, I think, of field goal range, especially with the way Bond was kicking. So had you gotten that, you might be up 23-17 at halftime and getting the ball
and momentum,
and ending the half with 2 touchdown drives on your last 2 possessions, and what would have at that point been a 23-3 run, 23-3 or 23-6 run to end the half, and you end it with a sack, forced fumble, getting that quarterback's head a little bit, speed up his clock, so make him a little more nervous about that rush. A lot of things had that play counted, a lot of things would have changed, in my opinion. It wasn't just as simple as, well, you didn't have that 3-point momentum.
Let's get back to the storylines in the SEC. Got a lot of good games coming up this weekend, but kind of tying a bow on what happened this past weekend.
Yeah.
I'm sure you were watching that Georgia-Florida game and thinking to yourself, man, Florida, if
and that was before the Aggies lost.
Right. Mertz or Lagway in that game, right? If you had Lagway for the whole game, if you had Mertz, who was playing really well a few weeks earlier. I don't know if they win because you don't know how it plays out, but offensively they would have been better.
Yeah, they were terrible once he got hurt, and that's a tough break for Lagway. He could have played some really important games down the stretch for Florida, especially this coming weekend, coming home to Texas and playing in Austin. It's remarkable to me that Texas is going to play Florida's 3rd-string quarterback right when they start to get good. They beat the crap out of Kentucky. They take Tennessee to the overtime. They give Georgia all they want. With their backup and then their 3rd string, and then all of a sudden now you're facing a 3rd string transfer from Yale. So lucky break for Texas. They're quite literally might get Florida's 3rd string and Arkansas's backup, neither one of whom is a threat to complete any passes. And sets up nicely for the Horns. That's fine. It doesn't matter what happens to Texas. I guess there's some phantom world where A&M could be a 2-loss team, and there's this massive tie-up, and they get in. We haven't really explored that, with a bunch of teams with 2 losses. But the reality is you have to beat Texas to get into the SEC title game. So at this point, it doesn't really matter what Texas does, other than you just want to see the Longhorns lose, which, no offense to my Longhorn friends, but we all do. But with that said,
they're probably not.
With that said, it doesn't matter, and it actually will help A&M more if Texas does win out,
And
comes
you
in
beat
here and you
Texas.
beat them
Right.
in terms of if you beat them, you're going to the SEC title game. Well, what if you played Georgia and lost? 3-loss A&M team. They're going to, in one world, they're going to try to push you out in that case. And that's where the South Carolina one could be a killer.
All right, Jackson. A heartfelt thank you to a great job you've done today. Tell the people what to do.
You guys are going to want to like, comment, subscribe, share with your friends and family.
Did you just see that emotion? That's the
tried.
most I've ever seen.
I'm trying. I'm
Hey,
trying.
try it again with a little more emotion, like a little more, like go
Like a little
above
more.
and
Like
beyond.
you were, yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
all right.
Above it, like it's
All right.
out of character. Like this is not you.
Yeah.
You're playing somebody else. You're playing.
Hey, listeners, you guys are going to want to like, comment, and subscribe.
That guy
Love
could be
it.
a yell leader. That guy could be really good at the yell leader stuff. All right, we'll see you next time.